Okay, this is my review of The Last of Us episode 9, titled Look for the Light, and it's the season 1 finale. And what a great episode, and I'm really gonna miss the show until we get season 2. This is probably out of all the episodes, probably the one that's probably the most accurate to the actual video game itself. Though there are some slight little changes here and there, but nothing too drastic. It starts off with we see a pregnant woman running through a field, and then she runs to a house and she's heavily pregnant, about to give birth. We don't know what she's running from, where it could be people attacking her, but we do find out that she's ready to give birth. She goes upstairs, locks the door, puts the door in there, so she, chair on the door so no one get in, and attempts to give birth. She's got a knife, a pocket knife at bay, and then when we see her actual knife, it looks very familiar. And then and then we realise that the pregnant woman it's a flashback, and the woman is actually Ellie's mother, and then she then has to give birth while while being attacked by one of those creature things. And she's able to give birth, and then she has to cut the umbilical cord, but then she realizes that she's been bitten on the leg, so she has to do it pretty quickly. And then eventually it turns to nightfall, and then we see the character Marlise appear in there, and then Ellie's mother has to make a drastic decision. And obviously we know how that's going to play out, and then two drastic decisions in terms of her future, because obviously she's been bitten, and then she asks Marlise to do what needs to be done, and then obviously she does it, and then we jump back into present day. Now, before we kind of carry on with the review, the actress that plays Ellie's mum is actually the voice actress that voices Ellie in The Last of Us Part 1 video game and The Last of Us Part 2. So it was kind of great to see a cameo there. And obviously now they're getting nearer to where the Fireflies wanted Joel to take Ellie. And then obviously Ellie seems to be a bit distant. Now this could be because of the events of the previous episode with David, although some time has passed by. We don't know, it could be weeks, could be months, so we don't exactly know. But she seems distracted, which Joel starts to notice, and Joel, as we can see now, is really warmed up to Ellie as kind of like his surrogate daughter. And then obviously he's trying his best to get close to her, but then she doesn't sit there and want to kind of talk. She's totally fine. There's a bit that plays out from the video game and where she sees the giraffes, and that's exactly like the video game. I know, I'd be interested to see how they did that. So they could have used real giraffes, whether it's CG or whatever. I don't know how they did it. I suppose we'll find out how they did that. And then obviously to get things them to bond, Joel tries to get her to use her pun books, and obviously seeing those giraffes, which I don't think she's ever seen, basically cheers Ellie up a bit. And then the next minute, obviously they're pretty close to where the Fireflies kind of wanted her, and then the next minute they're ambushed, and then you find out obviously that it's basically Marlise and her Fireflies. They basically didn't realise that it was Joel. So then, just like in the video game, she tells Joel that she's forever grateful, and that they're prepping Ellie for an operation. But obviously there's kind of a really big twist and a sacrifice that has been made if the operation goes through, which won't completely spoil. But Joel basically, you can tell that he's kind of lingering on, obviously, with he's the loss of his daughter, and he couldn't do anything to save her. And obviously being in a position now that he sees Ellie as his surrogate daughter. So then what basically happens is that they escort Joel out from the hospital, and obviously Joel kind of escapes his captors. And then all I'll say is Joel is completely badass. and which is actually quite violent. And even when some of the people surrender to him, he still sits there and takes them out. And it's what I find kind of funny is that when we watch the episodes from the first season, we see the obvious bad guys, but then you kind of start to realise that Joel in a sense isn't a good guy either. He's in some ways just as bad, in some ways as being a bad guy. And as simple, when you're in that position, in that stuff obviously what's going on with the world, basically people will do anything to survive. So I think that's Joel's mechanism. But also it was kind of brutal, kind of reminded me of Jack Bauer in 24 going on a killing rampage. Something happens to one of the doctors, and as we know, I don't know, most people know, you won't know anyway, that it does play a part in Joel's fate in The Last of Us Part 2. So obviously he goes off of Ellie, and Ellie wants to find out whether or not there really was a cure. So he basically tells her a lie, and then she's obviously swears to him that he's telling the truth. And obviously he's really doing this because he's doing this to protect Ellie, because obviously he couldn't protect his daughter. So it's kind of a way of a second chance, and even in a sense to a point where he wants to teach her to play the guitar. But as I said before, a very, very good episode. It was very much like the game. The only difference in being that with the beginning, with the flashback with Ellie's pregnant mother, which we didn't see in the video game. The only thing that Ellie got was Ellie's mum wrote a note, which Ellie was meant to get when at a certain age. And I think that's one of the bigger and better improvements, where we do get to see her mother, and as I said before, the actress who played Ellie in the video games. And then we get an explanation as to why Ellie is immune to the virus, which I thought was great, because in the video games it doesn't really explain that. Again, probably doesn't really have to, but it's nice to see that we actually get an explanation as to why it is that she's immune to it, and we get like a detailed explanation, so it's kind of great. And obviously there was a price to pay if there was to find a cure, again exactly like the video games. But Joel, as well, is absolutely brutal in his takedown of the Fireflies, and yeah, he does spare some. He spares the nurses, but yeah, as I said before, with what he does with the first Doctor, who's not prepared to let Ellie go, that does set up events in The Last of Us Part 2. I don't know when season 2 is gonna air, but it probably won't be for quite a long while. Hats off to Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey as Joel, Miller and Ellie in respectively. Great casting. As I said before, it's going to be really difficult to get real life actors to play the video games, because video games you can design characters to how you want them to be. And and for me, Pedro Pascal, he's such a fantastic actor. Even when say the movie hasn't been particularly very good, which is not down to him, you can always tell that he really loves his craft. He's good at what he does. He's likable, whether he's playing a good guy or a villain. He's such a good actor, and then to star in two good shows at the same time. So you've got The Last of Us and The Mandalorian. He's absolutely, this guy for me can do no wrong. And from what I've seen of the guy, obviously I don't know him in real life, he just seems like a funny, down-to-earth guy. And as I said before, everything he's been in so far, he's been fantastic in. So he's definitely one of my favourite actors of the last couple of years, where he's just actually really great in the stuff that he's kind of been in. And as for The Last of Us, he's knocked it out of the park in that role. And then Bella Ramsey, she's been absolutely fantastic as Ellie. I don't know if I haven't seen her in anything else. It's the first thing I've seen her in, but some of the roles that she's had to do, especially when it's been emotional scenes that she's had to do, or even other scenes, she's actually been fantastic in her role, and I can see nothing but a bright future for her. You know, depending on in any TV or movie roles that she picks in the future, because she's been absolutely fantastic in this episode. And I'm still gonna say that from episode, I'm still getting over episode 8 with the David character. My God, that guy is, I can't get the guy in my head. That guy is just absolutely creepy. Also, I had the bit where he's at the commune, I don't know what it is, he slaps the girl, and then the way he treats Ellie, and then in the kind of relationship that he kind of wants from her, he's just absolutely, and it kind of makes sense as to why Ellie killed him. Well, she basically chopped him up to mincemeat, but it kind of explains as to why that she ended up doing that, because the guys that absolutely deserved it. And even the bit to where Ellie's covered in faces, covered in blood, and then she manages to escape out the fire, and then she thinks that someone's attacking her, but it's Joel. And then you see Bella Rose's, well, the actress's emotional range in conveying being upset and being frightened. It was absolutely scary. And as for with this, the episode 9, the finale, very emotional from Joel, and very well acted from Pedro Pascal. So yeah, I can see that maybe if some people who haven't played the video game maybe will go out and actually play it. I mean, it's available on a lot of platforms, whether you play it on the PS3, the original version of it, or the remastered version. You can play it on the PS4, PS5, or if you've got a PC, you probably can play it on there. And obviously you've got The Last of Us Part 2. So I bought, but I haven't played it yet, but I know what happens anyway, because I watched play through it on YouTube. But you know, I'm looking forward to playing it myself. So it's going to be interesting into how that they're going to structure season 2 from The Last of Us. You know, from The Last of Us Part 2, and how many seasons will this show kind of run for, or will we get a Last of Us Part 3, which I think they're obviously going to do, because when they asked him, Neil Druckmann, he did say he wanted to focus more on the show, but he didn't deny that they weren't going to do Part 3. But I could see them doing it, because if you're riding the wave of a successful video game and now TV series, I mean, it has been an absolute must that they do a third video game, which is going to be interesting to see where that's going to take us. So yeah, I'm really enjoying the season finale, and yeah, I'm going to miss. It's going to be a long wait for season 2, but you know, really enjoyed the first season so far. As I said before, not actually practice the video game, because that would be very hard to convey. It was more drama, which wasn't a problem for me. I know some people would have a problem, but so far, I mean, really liked season 2. So roll on season 2 of The Last of Us.